Hello, and welcome to another weekly reading. I am using this nurturing smelling vanilla candle that my daughter gifted me for my birthday. She is such a sweet, nurturing little thing, even though she is still fairly young. And I'm also using my Kali, doTERRA Kali stick. The name's coming off a little, but this is a really powerful goddess. So this combination of the soft and gentle, nurturing, mothering energy and the fierce, boundaried, nurturing, mothering energy, because both are absolutely true. And I bring these in because the energy of Cancer this week is super huge. So we have just stepped through that Cancer solstice. So in the north, it is the summer solstice, but for us here in the south, it is the winter solstice. And we have the Cancer new moon this week on Wednesday, and it'll be conjunct Jupiter, who has moved in to spend the next year in the sign. I've been speaking about this. It will be there for a whole year, so it'll come up again. And Jupiter makes all things bigger, more highlighted and spotlighted. It's not always comfortable because sometimes Jupiter is going to make a big deal out of something you didn't notice before, and then you realize, oh, maybe I need to Kali it, put up some boundaries, or soften into it because I've been too hard on myself or on others. So Jupiter's going to, and one more thing is Jupiter is exalted in the sign. He loves being in Cancer, so it's a really, really nice place for us to work with this mothering energy. So whether that is mother wound stuff, whether that is nurturing, being more mothering to yourself, gender irrespective, whether it is looking at your relationship in mothering people in your life, pets in your life, children in your life, or being mothered by the same. These are all going to be really strong. And what is that dance between the soft vanilla sort of sense and the strong dark goddess Kali, who is not afraid to cut things out of your life, even if you don't really think you want her to. It's like the death rebirth energy, which is an interesting one with our cards. So this week is very, very Cancer-filled energy, although we do have Mercury moving out of Cancer later this week into Leo. The Cancer vibe is very, very strong this week. And remember, new moon is always the time to set intentions. So drop into this. You have a few days now to really decide if Jupiter's going to be there for a year. The intentions that you set this year with Jupiter conjunct the new moon, this is going to be a year-long intention setting. So dig in. Notice where you need to do the work with mothering, the mothering archetype, and dig in. Okay, lots of rose quartz as well, with it being this Cancer energy. I love rose quartz for Cancer energy. Okay, pick a card between 1 and 4. And remember, this will give you a bit of a theme. It's not a personalized reading. I do those, but this is more of a collective reading. And actually, whenever you find it, is perfect, even if it is out of sync with the week. Let's jump in. I kid you not, for a third week in a row, we actually have the Cancer card of the Chariot. I mean, really, you just can't make this shit up. So clearly we are working very strongly with this energy. I mean, I can feel the energy, but the cards throwing out that same energy is just remarkable, magical. Okay, and the first 3 cards of this reading for me are actually quite challenging, and then we step into the Chariot card, which offers us a quick turnaround, which I feel like for those of us who dare to do the work, and it's not easy. I think it's easier not to do the work, but you won't move from survive to thrive if you don't do the work. Okay, so for those of us who dare, we can make a really quick turnaround in this week, should we choose to face these first 3 cards and what they're trying to tell us. So we have a 4 of Cups, which is the water element. We have a Page of Pentacles, so that's a court card and an earth card. And then we have 2 major arcana cards. So a lot of this week is kind of fated. It's kind of outside of our control, but then how we face the things that show up, that is inside of our control. 4 of Cups is, I mean, look at her. She is literally just bored. Life feels dull. It feels empty. There are 3 empty cups. She's looking into that past point, and she's just, there's not much for it. And she's missing the fact that if she just looked forward, if she just turned her head a few degrees, she'd see that the universe is offering her this beautiful rainbow-filled, colorful, exciting thing. But she's not looking at that, is she? She's just stuck in a rut. And then following it straight into the devil card, where we can look at our addictions, where we're getting stuck in the darker side of things. So anything, having a few drinks can be with friends, can be nice and social. Having too many or becoming a problem, it's the darker side of it. Sex addiction, same thing. Sex is beautiful and wonderful, but when it becomes dark or too much porn or any of those things, that's when we're stepping into the darker side of it. Any kind of risk taking can be fun for a while until you lose everything on that one big gamble. Then we go into the darker side of things. So the devil is definitely cautioning you again, where you're outside of the control spectrum. You think you've got a handle on things until you don't, but then not taking accountability, because the devil often has us denying that we did that, denying that we signed that deal with the devil, so to speak. That we gave everything up, we risked everything, and we have nothing to show for it except the darker side of things. And this shame can come up quite a lot, and guilt, and just it's intense. And you can see the puppet on a string, which is interesting to me because, and we'll go back into it now, but there's not even a harness on these horses. But here, you're being played, basically. So where is it in your life that you've maybe gotten so bored that you're just dropping into things that are very lower vibrational, that are bringing you down, that are wasting your time, wasting your energy, wasting your thrive, your life force, your joy, your pleasure. They give you that small hit of pleasure and numbing maybe, but they're not actually, it's like there's nothing happening here. It's so beige that you'll do whatever it takes to get a bit of color. And then you wake up from that moment and you're like back to beige. So you'll do it again to get some, and it's just the stuckness because you're doing the wrong things. And that whole definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is kind of the loop that is being sort of suggested here. And then plus, if we come into the Page of Pentacles, he's upside down. So you're not bringing things into manifestation right now, because this is an earth card. This is where in its upright form, we're going to ground these ideas. Remember, pages are often about new beginnings and new information and making announcements. And it's like, I've got a new project. I'm bringing it into fruition. I'm grounding with this forward focus. Look how she's looking, or he. Could be either. Look how there's this forward focus, but there's a groundedness, a calmness, not rushing, steady, balancing on one leg, but upside down, again, hanging into past energies. And I say hanging because in many ways, in its upside down version in this deck, it represents, it has a similarity to the Hanged Man. But Hanged Man is the right way up. That card is the right way up with the image hanging. And that is about trust and surrender. This card should not be in this position. So it's like I'm trusting and surrendering that maybe I can keep leaning into these things. I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm just going to hang out here. I'm just going to stay in this circuit of repeat, this doing the same thing and expecting different results and feeling like a victim and never making the hard choices, where we come back to that Kali energy. So maybe there's not a good mother saying, it's okay, I love you anyway, try and fail. Or a Kali energy saying, get off your butt, you're going to get a hiding, get your studies done or whatever. Think about the archetype of the mother here. What mother do you need to help break you out of this rut? Are you needing the self-nourishment, nurturing, kind, vanilla hues of that mother to say, I love you, I know you're shame spiraling, I know you're struggling, but you need to motivate, you need to self-motivate, let me make you some chicken soup, what can I do? Or literally a smack around the ear and saying, listen, I have had enough of seeing you sit here in this pity party, doing all these things that are bad for you and wasting your time and energy. You are valuable. Get out and show me that I know my child, kind of thing. Like, you need to be that mother for yourself. And maybe, I'm fairly certain you're going to need a bit of both of those energies. And then we step into this Chariot card. So like I say, and we've had this 3 weeks running. It is the sign of Cancer that is represented by the Chariot. There are the shadow light aspects or yin yang aspects in these two horses. And also, they are not harnessed. They do not have reins. They do not have saddles. They're not even harnessed up to this chariot. So if you think of yourself as the rider of this chariot and yourself harnessing your internal balance, which is clearly out in these first three cards, there is no balance in these first three cards. And this is where you're like, okay, enough. So just think about that firm, Kali-like mama boundary where it's just like, maybe you could imagine her coming in and taking away your toys. So let's say you were a teenager sitting in your room smoking a bong, and she comes and shatters the bong. And it's like, there will be no more of this. I am done with this, or whatever it is that your thing was. And then suddenly you're like, oh, it almost like snaps you out of this illusionary bubble. And maybe there's rage. Rage comes up with your mother because how dare she? But that is still motivational. Rage, fury, anger. It'll push you out of the meh. So finding whatever it is that you need to give yourself. Don't seek this mothering from outside of yourself. Find it inside of yourself so that you get this motivation, this movement, this internal balance, and you start steering your own ship or your own chariot. You ride your own chariot. You move forward. Again, this is a fast card when it's upright. And look at this trajectory of movement. I mean, these horses are basically bursting out at us. And like I say, they're not being pulled or pushed. They are being guided from the driver's internal space. So, and then even just think about the chariot itself. How can you make your space your space? How can you get rid of the bong? How can you get rid of the porn? How can you get rid of the alcohol? Whatever it is for you, what are your addictions? I mean, maybe it's doom scrolling, maybe, who knows what it is? We all have them. We all have them. We don't always let them get to that very, very dark place. But sometimes we straddle a line, and it's now up to you to mother yourself with this. Am I getting a little excessive, or have I got this under control? And can you be brutally honest with yourself? Because often we think we're in control until we aren't. So it's a time to be hyper vigilant as the mothering part of yourself, gender irrespective, to say, because you know how mums can often see better than their children where they're headed. I mean, when children are really small, you can see, ooh, that little toddler's getting hangry. I'm going to need to give them a snack, and then we're going to pack up these toys and start heading for whatever the next thing is. And moms can often mitigate the tantrum, the drama, the meltdown before it happens. I want you to find that inner mom in you, with the inner teen in you or the inner child in you, whichever part of you is being really triggered right now. And I want you to mother that little girl or boy. I want you to say, this is what is needed, and I hold the answers. I hold the key. Everything I need is within me, and I will pull myself back into balance. So the part of you that's hooked in your addiction probably isn't going to see it. The part of you that is the good mother, whether she is coming in with hard boundaries or soft cuddles, she knows, and you need to access her, gender irrespective. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. Have a happy week. I look forward to any likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. And look me up if this has really resonated with you and you're needing a personal reading. Get in touch.